a city as big and bright as Houston, there are a few places that feel like they belong to another time. David's barbershop is one of them. Inspired by a trip to Italy, built by hand, and carried by ritual, this space isn't just a place to cut hair. It's where men return to themselves.
Were you mostly in Milan or did you go down to Rome?
Honestly, man, I actually did 3 different stops, new stops, where I did get a chance to visit with a barber that I wanted to meet for some time.
Nice.
Kind of more the rustic atmosphere, traditional barbering in Rome.
Started cutting your hair in your backyard.
Yeah, from the backyard to the production crew.
Mm-hmm.
All right, there's a story arc for you. 15, 16, 17 years. I don't know how long it's been. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
I lost count.
It's been 15 years for sure.
Something here, and I don't know exactly what it is, and that's where it's like, okay, is it that you can just have for guys to come and meet each other?
I mean, because this is a space where it facilitates some of this sharing of humanity and kind of allowing some space to dig in.
Yeah.
Where in our lives do we have that facilitated on the regular?
We work when people are out having fun and enjoying and having these conversations, you know? There's those moments where it's like right before service starts with, you know, with Chris, you know, Chef Chris at Mar, it's like being able to have that conversation and catch up. But it's similar to you in the sense that like, you're facilitating that conversation in the chair. You know, well, for us, like, you know, if you guys are at Montrose Cheese and Wine together, hanging out, like we're facilitating that. Like we're just a workshop town. We love food, we love drink, we love coffee.
I think it's like the city that doesn't have like a mountainside in its background for people to be attracted to, you know? So it ends up being like culture, I think.
Yep.
You know, and culture is exuded as food or beverage or, you know, I think people, communities, and also services.
You know, I left, you know, and went to Italy and was, you know, didn't really have plans to come back, you know, and when the opportunity came up, you know, to come back, I had to think about that. I had to say, like, we can end up anywhere. How can we see ourselves back in Houston? And it was the ability to, you know, it's interconnected to the world, the amount of culture, you know, the Houston heat might suck, but like I can go and get, you know, cold milk tea or, you know, like paletas or gelato and whatever it is, right? But having the access to diversity, having the access to great travel and communities in here that are bringing that. I don't have to go, you know, to Southeast Asia to explore some of the flavors because they're bringing them. You know, immigrants and people that are traveling there are talking about it, bringing it back, and I think that was a big part of it.
Houston, as an atmosphere, keeps everybody pretty humble, which is a great characteristic of the people because you're sweating your ass off just like I am. Like, nobody's gonna try to fool you that much here because you can't. Elements won't let you. But kind of what we were touching on earlier, you know, bringing something to Houston is also becoming a characteristic of, that's very Houston.
And people are open to it. They're willing to try it, and they're willing to fold it into the fabric of the city, you know?
Yeah. Granted, this city too, economically speaking, real estate speaking, has offered some potentials to have a concept like yours, to have a concept like mine. I mean, 5 years ago, coming into real estate to make a place like mine exist is probably only possible because of this type of landscape. Where else in the world? I'm not sure. For some reason, it's here.
Yeah.
You know?
Italy changed the way I understood creativity and how design, food, and service all connect. Houston is becoming a city that welcomes that level of nuance, that level of care. It might be a barbershop or a restaurant, but it's all about experience, precision, soul. At Goodnight, we brought that same level of intentionality home to our corner of Westheimer.
The event that we're doing in Napa in a couple of weeks, Austin and Felipe did this event with us last year, which was really fun. We chose some of our closest Southern smoke chefs to come do this event because we wanted people that knew us and that knew the mission. They were literally the first people that we asked.
Growing up in Mexico and sort of being enamored with Italian culture, and my dad being from Italy, and foods being such an important part of both the Mexican culture that I was obviously surrounded by, but then at home all the Italian culture and how important food is to both of those. I think it was a very sort of easy connection to food. And my dad cooked, my grandmothers, both of them, my nonna and my abuela were great cooks. My maternal grandfather, he gave me my love of history and my love for these things, and that then sort of have come together. Food and wine and beverage is so related to history too. And so that the love of those two things, especially at a project like March, they're so central to what we do. I look back and I'm like, man, how? Like, how did we do it? Like, there was so much work involved, and I was doing this while still abroad, while still working at restaurants. A lot of that has to do with the great partnership, and their drive and their attention to detail and their willingness to make it work. It's sort of snowballed into what's now, 4 concepts in this little campus, but each of them is unique. Each of them has a story, has a reason for being, has a reason for adding to the neighborhood, and sort of the texture of the city, that it did feel natural. Telling a story through exploring the Mediterranean, that really started from self-imposed boundaries. You limit yourself in whatever way you deem, that is gonna push you. You go deeper. A little farther, a little bit more focused, a little bit more targeted. That's, the boundaries in March and the meaning of the word, this frontier, these boundaries, this territory within your own that's at the border. And then, as the project evolves, you start to realize like, okay, well, that's a lot. There's a lot of cultures, there's a lot of time, how do you tell that? And so a piece at a time, a region at a time, an idea, a concept, a group of people, a group of cultures at a time, makes sense sort of, as you tell a story to kind of divide it. I personally like sort of very focused, concepts that have a meaning behind it, a reason for being. And so having the uniqueness of each concept sort of stems from that, and having these one-of-one identities. We're right here, we're literally next to and on top of each other. And so it has to make sense to draw people into these unique concepts at different times. They all serve a different purpose to the guest. They serve a different purpose at a different time of the day or a different time of their life. And so it's crucial that they are unique so that they are complete concepts, complete ideas. Star for March and Bib Gourmand for Rosie, you gotta earn it every single time. And not just every single time that the guy comes out, it's every single time that someone dines at the restaurant. One of my mentors, Frederic Perrier, told me this when I was a young cook. I was like literally just maybe 2 years cooking. And I expressed that I was kind of bored and tired of the tasks that I was doing. And that was like the lowest task. It was like entry level in that kitchen. And he said, this task that you're doing, that dish that, this goes into, it might have been the 100th time that you've done this today. But it is most likely the first time and the only time that this person's gonna experience that or have that dish. And so you have to do it with that intention. The fact that, it might be a 100th time, 1,000th, a millionth time that you've done this, but it probably is the first and last for that person or first and only for that person. And so that I take that, I've taken that throughout my career and really believed it and lived it. And I relate that to the guide and the award, the Michelin award for Rosie and for March, because we got to earn it again every year. And not just every year that the guide comes out again, but every time a guest comes in. None of this is by accident. Not the way the chairs sit under the table, the weight of the menu in your hands, or the way the art catches light. Every piece in here tells the same story, and that's where Zach comes in.
I think the people are what make our city so great. Our communities, I just wanted to cook for their communities, and then all of a sudden, there's the Mahatma Gandhi district, the Pakistani influence, because it's just like they wanted to cook for their city, they want to cook for their people. And I think that we need to start to look at foodways of our city and see the diversity that exists, and you can see it right now, especially with the Western African influence, just leaps and bounds, bro.
The thing that people don't realize about Houston is that it is a world-class city. Like, it is giant, A. It is like, you can go on any night of the week, of the year. You could see a play, you could see a musical, you could see a rock show, you could see an art opening, you can see the opera, you can see a ballet. There is so much happening in Houston all the time. Of course there is a restaurant like this in Houston, because Houston is the kind of place that has culture. For March specifically, it's a lot of like translating other people's ideas into visual forms, and also translating it in a way that will make sense to a guest in like, because March is so complicated of an idea. It's the Mediterranean as a whole. It's the specific location in the Mediterranean. It's a historical time period of the specific area of the Mediterranean that we're studying in that season. And so it's a lot of information to convey to someone who just has walked through our front door. It's a lot of like talking to Felipe about, okay, so I made this collage of ingredients. Do these ingredients make sense actually? Is there something weird that I'm not getting? Like, is there something subtle? Is there blah, blah, blah? Because Felipe has so much information in his head about this, and he creates this ridiculously detailed research guide every season for all of us to get the basics, and then pulling the final string out of that piece, and then that's where we learn to communicate with the guests. There are so many people on the March team who are also like investigating their own avenues for each season. The bar team is working on a cocktail list. Chef team is working on the dishes for the season. The wine team is working on pairings and also bringing in bottles. And so I'm also talking to all of them to make sure that the story we're telling is cohesive and that like all of the pieces make sense together. People bring me menus from other restaurants that they like. Like June just got back from the Philippines. Not only is it fun to just get the menu from her, but also to get the like excitement about like, do you see this menu? It's so beautiful. They hand painted all of the dishes that you got for the meal, and it's in the menu. You had to see it. How can we do something like that? And yeah. Usually I start with a word mark. Like we have the title for the season, La Serenissima, et cetera, and I'm a big typography nerd also, so I usually do a lot of research into like historical typography in that region, and it's such a special thing that like a good menu you'll take with you. What part of the joy of getting a menu from June and having her like be giddy about her experience and be like, look how good the design is, look, blah, 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 is that I know that I hope so at least, that there are people who do that with the stuff that they get from March or from Rosie or from Montrose Cheese and Wine. We have a matchbook at Montrose Cheese and Wine that is printed matchsticks, and each one has a little wine bottle printed on it. And it's like such a little detail, but we get letters from like people who just collect matchbooks asking for them because they're like, okay, I saw this on social media. It's so weird and unique and cool and different. Will you mail me some? And I'm usually like, yeah, sure. Why not?
When people go in there, yeah, it's a 3-hour dining experience,
Yeah.
but it is a year in the making. Get the cocktails, blend this and banging, and they just got that thought process. Then you step back into the back and you're like, what the hell is Marigold Club? Why is it so beautiful?
So, I mean, originally growing up, like, did not think about, cooking as a career or opening a restaurant. In the summers, we went to the Westport Deli down the street, and that kind of evolved into enjoying to cook and cooking with my mom and my grandmother. And then going to college, culinary school. Upon graduation, of course, there's New York, there's LA, there's Chicago, there's all these big food city hubs. But Houston just kind of like spoke to me, and I thought the people down here were very hospitable and just kind and genuine. So my plan was just to live down here for a little bit and then, travel. And once I got down here, I kind of was hooked. At the end of the day, yes, we're cooking food and we have our wants within that, but the understanding that the guest is the one that is dictating that experience, and for us to curate something that a guest can create their own experience from. We want everyone to be comfortable. And at Goodnight, there's so much talent here in the building. We want feedback, and we want negative feedback, and it's just constant every day looking at how we can be more efficient, how we can help our guests have a better experience, and little touches that we can put on there. I think the most unique thing about the partnership, and I'm sure a lot of people say it, but it's really true, is how brutally honest we can be with each other. Even if we don't agree, like, we can have that discussion. I think it's understanding where our strengths and, more importantly, where our weaknesses are. That only makes us stronger as a whole. Our food and guests are always great, but I think generating a culture of learning and expanding and growing together is the most rewarding thing about the Marigold Club and a restaurant as a whole. I think Houston, people are kind, they're generous, and I think that shows with Southern Smoke as well. Like, it started here, and I think it gained so much traction because the Houston community, it just gives back. I think it's that Southern hospitality in Houston that is unlike anywhere else.
But I've worked with Goodnight Hospitality since the beginning. I was their original publicist. What they do is so special. June in particular, like I told this to her before. She had very high expectations that there wasn't one time that she asked me to do something that it didn't make it better. And I think about that a lot. And she's now a board member of Southern Smoke, and I feel that she brings that to every single relationship that she has. She's just so good at what she does that she continuously raises the bar.
I can't take any kind of credit of saying, let's blow up the foundation and put a cellar in it, but I'm really happy that we did. very common situation. I was in college, I needed to work to be able to afford rent and go to school at the same time. And the hospitality industry is extremely flexible. So I started waiting tables at the old Olive Garden. Still a love of mine. And my college majors were philosophy and literature. They're very isolationist driven. And so being able to be part of a hospitality group, an industry where you can have friends and it's really about connections and people, it really allowed me to honestly kind of figure out who I was. To create something that someone wants to return to, again, ever changing. You've got to be able to understand who the people are that you're serving, who the people are that are serving, and who you want to be. Where we start is realizing that it's more than just food, it's more than just service, it's more than just beverage. It's really interesting, like working in the industry for so long, people keep a lot of things close to the chest because I think that they believe that there is a specific recipe to it, and it's not. But it's also the realization that that magic has to happen together. And so if one element may be askew, it's finding out what that element is. And that's why we're constantly critical of ourselves, because it's not really about people coming back. It's also about when they come back, there's something new and better. Whenever I travel, it is always, what is this element that I can bring back home? And even if it's something that's for me, I realize that as a leader of a company, it's more about the connectivity of how the hospitality industry works globally. I worry every day if I'm making the right decision. And because of the way my brain works, I worry every moment if that decision is going to be this crazy domino effect. And what is exciting is that it is my decision, right? Like it's very empowering. And I think that word is so cheesy sometimes because everybody has to make decisions, but it is empowering to realize that you have to be able to trust yourself. I grew up not in a best situation, grew up in a third world country. My mom was recruited into the States as a nurse. I grew up with my grandparents. This is a very common story in the Philippines. Like everybody goes through it, but whenever you're lucky enough to see that different side and the opportunities that kind of were very lucky for me to have because of the work of my mom, you don't want to take that for granted. When you have survival guilt too, you also need to constantly prove to yourself that you earned it. And I think that that's just how I work. It's not fair. I will say this, it's not fair to all of the people that I work with because sometimes it is too much. I have to find out ways to ensure that they realize that it is good enough, that they are working hard, that it is worth it, right? But unfortunately, or fortunately, to me, I always think that there's another bar, but it comes from just my upbringing and wanting to prove that I deserve it to myself. I light up when I think about us as a group because it is a dream. Pete, Bailey, Felipe, and Austin, this is a partnership.
One last question.
Yeah.
Because I have to ask this.
Of course.
What's your favorite wine of all time? We have to know.
Girl, that's like saying what's your favorite movie? How can you choose? TBD. I'm just gonna have to continue to drink wines to find that moment. I'll probably tell you right before I die. It will be Burgundy. I will tell you that. It will be either a white or a red Burgundy, and it will be from someone that I respect. It will be from probably a woman, I won't lie, and it will likely be about 20 years old whenever I open it.
People before us paved that way, whether we know it or not. The Memphis family, the Carradas, doing a list of all these old school families in our city paved the way for restaurants and people.
Yeah.
Myself and Felipe, Austin, to have their words spoken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you don't create it, well, then you just create it.
Yeah.
right? I mean, I think without June, Austin's wine scene wouldn't be what it is without June. And I think when she moved here, it stepped it up. 7 master songs in the city. You see the hell out of here, man.
Yeah.
And they're all nice.
And they all help each other. We actually did a
It doesn't happen like that.
It started with a haircut. It ended around a table. And in between, we listened. We uncovered the quiet struggles, the restless ambitions, and the winding roads that shape these lives and this story. The stories carry the soul of the city. This is Houston. These are the characters.
If you could say one thing to your younger self, like in high school or just getting out of high school, and kind of being like in front of yourself, like seeing everything you've done and that you will continue to do, what do you think you would say to young Felipe? What do you think you would say? That wasn't on the list.
I don't know. I think I wouldn't want to ruin the surprise of what it can become and what it has become so far. So, I think I would just say, like, keep it up, and you will be surprised as to where all of this will go. Yeah.